So as a profession, I am a chef and also the founder of Boi, and as a hobby, I am a techno DJ. You know, from a young age, I've always enjoyed cooking. It was something that I was fascinated with whenever we'd travel, go on holidays with my parents. I'd always loved trying new restaurants, new cuisines. So I kind of knew from a young age that I sort of wanted to be a chef. And sort of running parallel to that, I've always been really into music. When I was in high school, it started off as, in hip hop, and then it sort of progressed into electronic music, trance, and then eventually techno. Yeah, even though I'm a chef and, I work crazy hours, I've always tried to find a way to balance those two passions of mine. I mean, you'd be surprised, but I have a twin brother. So, if you see me in the street and I blank you, it's either because it's him or I just don't like you. I mean, I'd say most people I'd say would be their parents. I think, from a young age, those are your first sort of role models. My mom was an English teacher, and my dad was a semi-professional footballer, and then sort of did work in computers and computer systems. Yeah, I'd say they're sort of my role models and, people that I always tried to sort of impress or make proud. I still think I've got a lot more to achieve, but I think I'd say I've been lucky over the years to work with some really talented chefs in some pretty amazing restaurants. One of them being 3 Michelin-starred restaurant Gordon Ramsay in London, under head chef Claire Smith. For me, that was probably the best and hardest kitchen I've ever worked in. It taught me so much in a real short amount of time, but yeah, I'd say that's something I'm quite proud of. I mean, I'd say for most people, I think the whole COVID, situation was a bit of a shit show. For me personally, working in F&B, I just sort of left the restaurant group that I'd been with for like 6 or 7 years, and I was trying to start my own consulting company and get that off the ground. And it was just the worst time to try and do that. Restaurants were struggling, let alone looking to take on any new, additional costs. So yeah, it was a tough couple of months. I wasn't working, but I had a lot of free time. I lived near some really amazing hiking trails, and so I just decided to focus heavily on sort of fitness, just controlling the things that you can do. So my wife and I, we welcomed twins at the end of last year. We got super lucky. We've got 1 boy, 1 girl. It's true what they say, the first few months are pretty brutal. I think with twins, it's that little bit harder, but I'd say so far it's been a pretty enjoyable experience. It still feels a little bit surreal. I wake up most mornings and, I go into their room and I see them sleeping. It's kind of, it sort of hasn't quite sunken in yet, but yeah, it's definitely been an adjustment and, something that we're just trying to figure out how to sort of balance looking after them, but also, all the other things that we enjoy doing on a daily basis. Just being able to live in Hong Kong, to live in a nice apartment, to have a solid group of friends, many of whom I've known since high school days. Having a good group of friends, I think they keep you grounded. They stop you from letting your ego sort of take over. So yeah, that's something I'm grateful for. The dream was to eventually open my own restaurant. I think that's every sort of chef's dream, but I think it's sort of changed over the years. I've sort of realized there isn't a deadline that you need to have achieved things by. I think a lot of people, the 30 mark is sort of when everyone thinks they need to have achieved everything, but I just try to, every year, just to sort of be able to identify some sort of progression, some sort of improvement. If every year that sort of continues and I can do that, then I'm happy with that. I mean, it's sort of related to my industry, but I guess it could relate to anyone. But, your reputation, I think, is important. So no matter where you work or who you interact with, try to come across as professional and sort of caring and understanding as possible, because, you never know who knows who in this industry. And, I always want people to remember their time working with me or for me in a positive light.